From the very moment Bryan Okwara stepped into that interview room, people knew something explosive was about to drop. His energy was charged, his jaw set, his eyes sharp with a kind of frustration he could no longer hide. Nollywood thought they had seen drama this year, but nothing compared to the bomb he was about to throw at the entire industry. It was the kind of statement that would ripple across social media, divide fans, rattle producers, shake actors, and ignite endless speculation. And truly, once Bryan opened his mouth, everything scattered online like wildfire on dry grass. Bryan had always been respected, classy, calm, handsome, composed, the kind of actor who rarely got involved in controversial conversations. But on that particular day, something in him snapped, something pushed him past the point of politeness, something triggered the honesty he had been holding back for years. So when the interviewer casually asked him about Nollywood chemistry, about the ease with which he played romantic roles, about how he always looked so natural on screen, Bryan leaned forward and dropped the kind of line that detonates entire industries. He said the biggest problem in Nollywood was fake on-screen chemistry, and he blamed producers for forcing relationships that had no soul, no spark, and no emotional truth. The room froze. Even the sound engineer looked up from his console, eyes widened. This was not the direction the interview was supposed to go. Bryan was meant to talk about his upcoming project, but instead he had fired at an industry giant, producers. And not small ones, major ones. Names no one dared call out, names that held careers in their palms, names that shaped the faces of Nollywood romance. But Bryan didn't stop there. He went deeper. He said producers were too focused on pairing actors who looked cute together instead of pairing actors whose energies naturally aligned. He said too many producers cast people based on Instagram popularity rather than emotional depth. He said the industry had become obsessed with pretty face chemistry, instead of real connection, real storytelling, real vulnerability. And then he said something that made even the interviewer flinch. He admitted that he had acted with people he had zero chemistry with, people he struggled to connect with, people producers forced him to act romantically connected to even though it felt like dragging a rock up a mountain. This was the moment the internet caught fire. Clips of his statement leaked instantly. Twitter, Instagram Reels, TikTok, Facebook, everywhere. Fans began speculating about who he was referring to. Some swore he was talking about Sonia Uche. Others insisted he meant Mary Miller. Some even said he was shading an unnamed actress who once struggled to maintain eye contact with him on set. Nobody knew the truth, but speculation became a sport, and the fans played it passionately. But what shocked people the most was when Bryan went further than anyone expected. He said that Nollywood had become too artificial, too staged, too structured, and too unwilling to allow actors to choose partners they naturally flow with. He claimed actors feel chemistry before producers do, and that producers should listen when actors say, "This person doesn't align with me emotionally." He shared how many times he voiced his concerns only to be ignored. He said producers would rather defend a weak pairing than admit they made a shallow casting decision. The interviewer, trying to keep up, asked if he had ever refused a role because of bad chemistry. Bryan paused for a moment, sighed deeply, and said yes, there were roles he walked away from because he knew the emotional connection wasn't there and he refused to deliver a fake performance. But producers didn't like that. Producers hated that. Producers called him difficult. Producers labeled him uncooperative. And because of this, he lost opportunities he knew he could have excelled in, if only they listened. This confession shook the industry. Meanwhile, fans on the internet were going completely wild. Some praised him, applauding his bravery. Others dragged him, claiming he was shading actresses he had worked with. Some said he should reveal names. Others said he should apologize. But the most chaotic reactions came from those who believed he was indirectly talking about Mary Miller and Sonia Uche, the duo fans had been shipping him with for months. One fan commented, "Bryan Okwara is clearly talking about all those forced pairings. Especially that one movie where the chemistry looked like brother and sister acting romance." Another replied, "This gist is too hot. He is obviously shading someone, and if I talk, people will say I'm talking too much." Someone else jumped in, "Producers need to stop forcing people together. Chemistry is spiritual, not technical." However, some fans weren't buying any of it. One user said, "I beg Bryan should relax. Sometimes the chemistry is there but the script is dry." Another wrote, "Fake chemistry or not, just act it. That's why you are paid. Not everything needs to be emotional." And then an entire argument broke out under that comment, with more than 500 replies in just 2 hours. But back to the interview, Bryan was not done yet. He turned the conversation toward the pressure actors face when the audience begins shipping them with their co-stars. He said the public puts unnecessary emotional expectations on actors, expecting them to behave romantically off-screen just because they convinced you on screen. He said fans don't understand the psychological stress that comes with being shipped with someone you're not emotionally aligned with. He said sometimes actors pretend for the audience, but off-camera they can hardly maintain a conversation. Then he said something that broke the internet into 2 worrying blocks: some actors are amazing at pretending chemistry. They know how to smile, laugh, blush and stare on command. But behind the scenes, the connection is zero. You can't even crack a joke with them. And yet producers keep pairing us because it looks good for marketing. I'm tired. Boom. Screenshots of that quote went viral. Fans reposted it everywhere, pairing it with images of actresses he had previously worked with. Some fan pages posted collages, comparing his acting chemistry with Marie versus Sonia versus other popular names. Some fans used slow-motion clips, rewinding scenes and analyzing facial expressions. Others posted video edits claiming that Bryan's chemistry with some actresses was so strong, it could not possibly be fake, while his chemistry with others was cold like unripe plantain. The confusion doubled when Bryan added one more line: "The best chemistry I ever had on screen wasn't the one producers forced, it was the one that happened naturally. Producers didn't even understand why it worked. They didn't plan it. They didn't expect it. It just happened." Fans went absolutely insane. Some screamed, "He's talking about Marie." Others shouted, "No, it's obviously Sonia." Some insisted it was someone older. Someone suggested it was someone married. The theories tripled. The screenshots multiplied. And within hours, multiple Nollywood gossip pages picked it up. Producers didn't like the fire that Bryan ignited. Some insiders leaked that certain filmmakers felt insulted, saying Bryan was trying to undermine their creative decisions. Others said he was calling them incompetent. Some claimed they would never work with him again. Others quietly agreed with him but refused to say it publicly because they didn't want to be dragged into the storm. Meanwhile, Bryan was oblivious to the explosion outside. He spoke with the passion of someone who had held back for too long. He mentioned that real chemistry is built on trust, vulnerability, and emotional availability. He said actors need time to connect, to talk, to create comfort, but producers rush them into shooting without giving them the emotional foundation needed to create believable romance. He said the industry is too focused on speed and not enough on depth. He leaned back in his chair, took a deep breath, and said he refused to deliver mediocre performances just because producers refused to pair him with people he genuinely resonated with. He said he was tired of being scolded for requesting actors he believed he could truly spark with. He said he cared about storytelling too much to pretend emotions he did not feel. Fans reacted instantly. Some called him a king for defending art. Others called him dramatic. Some said they respected him more now. Others said he was sounding hurt, like someone recovering from a forced pairing that crashed. One fan tweeted, "If Bryan Okwara starts naming names, Nollywood will shut down for 2 days." Another replied, "Let him talk. We have been waiting." But things peaked when fans started dragging specific producers, tagging them under the viral post, asking if they felt attacked. One fan wrote, "You producers want fine boy and fine girl, but zero chemistry, zero emotion, zero realness. Are you hearing Bryan?" Another added, "Stop pairing people who can't even maintain eye contact. We are tired." By evening, the gist had scattered the entire internet. YouTube reactors posted videos analyzing the interview frame by frame. Twitter Spaces started discussing Nollywood chemistry problems. TikTok creators reenacted Bryan's lines dramatically. Instagram bloggers twisted the story, making it even juicier. WhatsApp groups circulated edited clips, some out of context, making it appear like Bryan mentioned specific names he never mentioned. The gist grew wings and flew beyond anything the actor expected. Meanwhile, Bryan remained silent after the interview went viral, refusing to issue any clarification. That silence added more petrol to the fire. Fans interpreted it in different ways. Some said he was standing strong, others said he was protecting someone he cared about, and some conspiracists claimed he was in a secret relationship and was hinting at who he truly connected with emotionally. As the industry buzzed, fans demanded a part 2 of the interview. Others wanted a live session where he would clarify his statement. Many were begging him to call names. Some even tagged Sonia Uche and Marie Miller, asking them if they were the ones he had zero chemistry with, or if they were the ones he had the best chemistry with. The gist grew bigger, hotter, and more chaotic by the hour. Nobody knew the truth. Nobody knew who Bryan Okwara meant. Nobody knew what producers he was dragging. Nobody knew whether he was venting or sending a message. But one thing was certain, he shook Nollywood with that single interview. And as always, your number one home for the hottest, wildest, most entertaining Nollywood gist remains GistF TV. If you want fresh drama, hotter updates, and deeper tea, make sure you subscribe to GistF TV because this gist is only the beginning, and the next chapter will scatter the internet even more.